Hello, I'm Resi from Lowell Observatory and welcome back to the Mars Hill Almanac. As always, let's go ahead and get started with the sun. The sun sets here in Flagstaff, Arizona, slightly north of west on the horizon at about 7:32 p.m. The sun is setting later and later every night as we draw close to our summer solstice on June 20th this year. The moon is currently high in the sky after sunset in its half phase. It will be full by the end of the week. Venus has moved too close to the sun in the sky to be easy to see just after sunset. However, in just a couple days, on the 31st, Mercury will be at its highest point in our evening sky, making it a tricky but fun observing target. Jupiter rises with Saturn following just behind at about 11 p.m. here in Flagstaff. Mars rises a couple of hours later. We still have that great parade of planets, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars, lined up in the early morning skies. Last week we talked about how to find Arcturus using the Big Dipper. This week we're going to talk about one of my personal favorite constellations, which is Hercules. So if you remember last week, the last two stars in the handle of the Big Dipper arc to Arcturus, a bright orange star in our night sky, which is just about at the zenith, that is directly above us, after sunset. To find Hercules, go ahead and find Arcturus. Once you've found Arcturus, that orange star high in the sky, you're going to look down towards the eastern horizon, where you will see a bright bluish star. That bright star, the brightest star in the east right now, is Vega. Hercules is just between Arcturus and Vega. It's most distinct because it has kind of a box-ish shape to it, which makes up Hercules' body. While there are no particularly bright stars inside Hercules, it is well known for its very famous globular cluster M13, the Great Globular Cluster in Hercules, which just happens to be your Deep Sky Challenge this week. So if you have found Hercules, that square in the sky between Arcturus and Vega, you're going to look just above that square, and you should see what, through binoculars, will look like a very fuzzy star. The larger telescope you point to this object with, the more distinction you will see. M13 is one of the largest globular clusters in our galaxy and is by far one of the most visually distinct in our night sky. M13 is a fairly easy target, so I've gone ahead and found a trickier globular cluster to spot, also using Hercules. Just like with M13, you're going to find that square that makes up Hercules' body between Arcturus and Vega. Instead of looking above Hercules like you do to see M13, you're going to look just to the north. North of Hercules, right here, you will see M92, a much fainter and more distant globular cluster. Last week, we asked you to share with us your favorite types of objects to observe. I said that my personal favorite was globular clusters, just like M13 and M92. Book 66 shared with us that their favorite objects to look at are large stars. This week, I'm thinking a lot about shooting stars. I went out a couple of nights ago and stargazed up at the top of Mount Lemmon outside of Tucson, Arizona, and saw a pretty good number of shooting stars. We're not in the middle of a meteor shower, but you don't need to be to see shooting stars. All you need is a clear, dark sky. That being said, this week I want to hear about your experiences observing meteors. Have you seen any of the large meteor showers? Have you maybe never seen a meteor before? Or do you have questions about what makes meteor showers happen, which we are definitely going to discuss in the future? Just like before, we'll be looking through the comments and picking our favorite answer to share in next week's episode of the Mars Hill Almanac. Until then, my name is Resi, and I will see you next week.